Hello there. UK new Prime Minister promises to freeze energy bills for 18 months, Sarawak's green policy and investment pull factor, and Sarawak in need of more archaeology experts. Those are the headlines for tonight. Hello everyone, you're with me, Douglas Elliott, and this is Tvs Nightline. We begin with our top story. Britain's Queen Elizabeth has appointed Liz Truss as British Prime Minister on Tuesday after an audience with Her Majesty at Balmoral Castle. 47-year-old Truss, who took over from Boris Johnson, has pledged to immediately tackle energy bills, which are due to soar next month and are causing a cost of living crisis for millions of households and threatening the survival of businesses. According to BBC, Truss is planning to freeze household energy bills at the current level for this winter and next, paid for by government-backed loans to energy suppliers. In a televised report, BBC said that energy companies would take out government-guaranteed loans to bridge the gap between the wholesale price in the market and the fixed price they are charging customers, adding that the loans would be repaid over the next 10 to 20 years through supplements to customer bills. The scheme could cost between £100 billion and £130 billion. The government is also working on a support package for businesses, but it was likely to be more complex and would be reviewed more frequently. Truss is expected to address the nation and start to form a government. Sarawak's clear policy and vision toward a transition to green and clean energy has been the state's mainstay in attracting foreign investment in the field of decarbonization. Premier Dato' Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg said this is evident as countries such as South Korea have shown keen interest to work with Sarawak to produce hydrogen and ammonia. In his official working trip to the country, Abang Johari said Sarawak is eager to seal a collaboration with Korean conglomerates as part of the state's program to develop the hydrogen economy in the state. He pointed out that Sarawak is fortunate to be endowed with rich renewable resources such as hydropower, which is an important zero-carbon source of energy to produce green hydrogen. 3 Korean companies, namely Samsung, Lotte and POSCO, signed a preliminary MOU with the Sarawak state government in January through Sarawak Economic Development Corporation SEDC to build a hydrogen plant in Bintulu under the Hibiscus project. The Premier is currently in South Korea to enhance partnerships with Korean industries in the field of green energy generation and innovation. On Wednesday, the Premier is set to meet with the Korean Second Vice Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, Park Il-jun, who will witness the signing of the MOU between Sarawak Energy Berhad, SEDC and Samsung POSCO Lotte Consortium. Sarawak needs more experts in the field of archaeology, as the state possesses a fascinating history and heritage. This promises great potential for Sarawak to be enhanced, riding on its international archaeological heritage destination once Nia National Park is accorded with the UNESCO World Heritage Site status by 2024. Senior archaeologist Professor Dr. Darren Curnow said the establishment of the proposed Sarawak Research Centre of Excellence to be based in Nia would serve as a centralized place where best practices are formulated based on knowledge and data gathered, and serve as a platform to train and develop local talents in archaeology, heritage management, and conservation. As such, the presence of field experts would be an added value to the state's huge diversity attractions, while creating an environment for testing new emerging processes through the possibility of new discoveries, monitoring and disseminating impactful research outcomes.
I've been working jointly with the Sarawak Forestry Corporation to develop this idea of a new Centre of Research Excellence at NIA. And the idea is that we would provide a place to train local students, local staff in archaeology, heritage management, conservation, and really giving locals that skill set so that they can have a career working in archaeology, in prehistory and cultural heritage, but also working with local communities.
Commenting further, Colonel noted that apart from developing the next generation of archaeologists, he emphasized that community engagement is also vital in terms of the protection, preservation, and conservation, and contributing to the tourism economy, as well as in archaeological research and development.
So another idea behind the centre is that it's really time to train the next generation of archaeologists and heritage managers in Sarawak. I mean, one of the issues is that you've had people like me coming from overseas. You know, we do our best, we work with locals, we train locals, we're very sensitive to that. But longer term, you need your own archaeologists, your own heritage managers, your own ecologists, and we really should be working together to train them. And part of the idea with the Research Centre of Excellence is that we can start to train the next generation.
The Nia National Park International Conference for World Heritage Site nomination gathered 300 delegates in providing a strategic platform for knowledge sharing and technologies among researchers and to strengthen the outstanding universal value criteria for the nomination list and dossier to be submitted to UNESCO in February next year. Meanwhile, Sarawak Forestry Corporation SFC International Engagement Manager Ramli Ahmad was on the same page, indicating that the state is in need of more researchers in biodiversity and archaeology, as it still lacks in terms of experts in this field, without depending on foreign expertise.
I would like to see a lot of this. We have seen a lot of research. I'm myself, I would say I'm probably the only one cave explorer from Sarawak. I would like to see more of younger generation to go and do research on whatever in caves, in biodiversity, you know, in geology and stuff like that, and to bring basically to get, you know, to get all the knowledge. There's a lot of knowledge to be acquired, and so that, you know, we can have a strong representation of people from Sarawak themselves who are into caves and, you know, research and stuff like that. Because we have, if you tell people in the world, if you tell the cavers in the world about Mulu, about Nia, yeah, they know. You know, they know more about people from over here, I think, because Mulu and Nia is world class. Okay, world class, and they receive world class recognition.
Telco companies and internet service providers are told to improve their network connectivity, especially in rural areas. Ministry of Utility and Telecommunications, Dato' Julahi Narawi, said the state government has invested more than 2 billion ringgit to improve network coverage in those areas, but it seems to be falling on deaf ears. Thus, he urged telco companies to utilize the service provided by the state government.
It seems that the focus by the service providers are more in the urban areas, not in the rural areas. Rural areas are less profitable. They are looking at the bottom line of their punya investment. But somehow we are encouraging them to go over, extend their service in the rural areas.
He said that in order to achieve full internet connectivity, Sarawak aims to have at least 7,000 telecommunication towers by 2030 under the Sarawak Rural Broadband Network MySRBN project. So far, 3,500 towers have been erected, while 1,043 are still under construction. Julahi said this after launching the Batam Sarawak Internet Cable System, or B6, and Tier 4 Santubong Data Center at Borneo Convention Center, Kuching, on Tuesday. At the event, Julahi said that the 700-kilometer submarine cable system via Batam, Indonesia, and the Tier 4 Data Center will play a major role in Sarawak's digital transformation.
All parts of Sarawak must be fully connected. And of course, the role of internet connectivity, the contribution of Tier 4 data center right here in Sarawak will play a major role in helping Sarawak to achieve our target.
Additionally, the project will form a data superhighway with 80 wavelengths of 100 gigabits per second transmission capacity and a total system capacity of 48 terabits per second. Meanwhile, the Santubong Data Center is the first Tier 4 facility in Malaysia, which will be a highly reliable and secure source for internet content. The raising of the overnight policy rate OPR yet again by Bank Negara Malaysia, expected to be announced formally this week, will severely affect the B40 and M40 income groups. The third consecutive rate hike, Bank Negara says it is aimed at reining in inflation. However, according to financial advisor Saltihi Zeni, consumers will feel the pinch of reduced spending power.
Bagi yang banyak loan di bank, so biasanya suka. Sebab biasanya bila banyak loan, so komitmen bulanan memang akan naik lah. Dan kebiasaannya bila kenaikan OPR berlaku, macam baru-baru tu kita dengar bulan 7 hari ada kenaikan sebanyak 25 mata asas menjadi 2.5% OPR. So kenaikan loan pun akan turun naik lah.
He added the cost of living would inevitably increase following the hike in prices of goods and services. Bank Negara is expected to raise the overnight policy rate by 25 basis points to 2.5% this week. The central bank is scheduled for a September Monetary Policy Committee meeting on September 7th and 8th.
The COVID-19 pandemic has battered many industries, including the hospitality industry, which was reduced when they provided quarantine centers for many returning residents. And as more and more countries relax their COVID-19 restrictions and travel starts to pick up, the hospitality industry can finally see the light of day and reinvent itself with the use of smart digital technology. One such hotel, Kuching Park Hotel in City Centre, has recently reopened its doors with a brand new look and by embracing smart features to become Sarawak's first smart digital hotel.
For hotel manager Patrick Lau, the digital adoption is aimed at limiting interactions among hotel guests, especially at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Pandemic, people don't like to meet people. They want something that non-human, less touch point, and not crowded. You see, so things want to be very kind of bare, and things can be done by itself. So these ideas were mooted, and we say, yeah, I think it's time, and it is time to move on, to look into, to digitalize the whole hotel industry.
Moreover, Patrick said the use of smart digital technology is the way of the future in the hospitality industry.
And with the 2.5 years, people in the living in the pandemic, they also had learned or been forced to learn about digital. You see, they got to scan the My Sejahtera. Everywhere they go, they got to scan, and regardless of the age, so everyone start to learn. That's how the idea was brought out, and we think this is time we should be able to kickstart this idea to bring it to the hotel industry. We try to start small, and yeah, I think it's the right timing, really to press a lot. There's a right timing that we're able to bring forth this, and people are more acceptable.
Patrick said the digital adoption is also in line with the state government aspirations of digital transformation.
Still to come, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department said there is no new conditions to contest an election. Plus, death tolls in China's earthquake rose to 66. Right here on TVS Nightline. Stay tuned. You're watching TVS Nightline. Now, there is no need to add new conditions in the nomination of candidates to contest in the coming election, especially for representatives whose cases are still pending in court. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Parliament and Law, Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jafar said the existing election nomination conditions enshrined in Article 48(1) of the Federal Constitution are adequate. He said any individual who is convicted and sentenced to jail for not less than 1 year or fined not less than 2,000 ringgit and did not obtain a pardon would lose their eligibility. That matter needs to be read together with Article 48(5) relating to the nomination, election or appointment of any person to Parliament. Wan Junaidi was commenting on the statement of PAS Ulama Wing Chief Dato Ahmad Yahya, who proposed that the government tighten the eligibility condition of candidates contesting in any election, including banning individuals who are being tried in court on offences of misappropriation or corruption. On the individuals who have been selected as a member of Parliament, Wan Junaidi said the membership of the individual would not be revoked unless the conditions under Article 48(4) of the Federal Constitution were realized relating to members of Parliament having been convicted and not having been pardoned. He said that Article 48(4)(c) states that when the last process, which is the pardon, fails, then the membership of the Member of Parliament is automatically terminated. Article 48 of the Federal Constitution has 6 provisions related to the disqualification of a Member of Parliament. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has exemplified the need for an economic restructuring, one that prioritizes health to ensure that the country's healthcare system is more sustainable and resilient. Minister of Health Khairi Jamaluddin said better health financing through adequate, efficient and equitable public sector funding is key to a sustainable health system. Speaking at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC Health Financing Forum on Tuesday, Khairi said it is vital to re-evaluate and chart a strong and clear course to ensure the health system's sustainability and resilience to face future health crises and improve safety nets, especially for the low and middle income groups.
Malaysia's health system was able to withstand the onslaught of the pandemic through a whole-of-government and whole-of-society approach. And this was evident from our ability to transition towards endemicity through the Ministry of Health, our continuous advocacy for COVID-19 testing, vaccination, treatment, and having it accessible to everybody, regardless of citizenship, including migrants, for free through our public healthcare system.
He added that Malaysia is currently developing a health white paper with the aim of further strengthening the country's health system holistically. Day 2 of the International Conference on Nia National Park for World Heritage Site nomination is currently ongoing in Miri, with over 300 delegates comprising researchers and scholars taking part in various workshops throughout the 3-day event. Our editor, Daryl Law, is among those in attendance. Here's a recap of the event from earlier today.
Today entered the second day of the International Conference on Nia National Park for World Heritage Site nomination. Among the matters that were highlighted today and shared was to disseminate the impactful research outcome on culture, nature, tourism and community themes. This is also to enhance the latest research data and technology through a network of cooperation between experts, organizations, and research institutes from within and outside the country. Also discussed was the need to create an awareness among local communities and stakeholders on the importance of Nia National Park as a World Heritage Site. Now, the conference was indeed a meeting of great minds to discuss and present the result of their latest studies on the element of outstanding universal values consisting of culture, nature, tourism and community of Nia National Park as an initiative for nomination to the UNESCO World Heritage Site list. Now, among the scope of the conference was on protection preservation, conservation of Nia National Park, property, integrity and authenticity of the site, product marketing and creative industry, as well as the development management, promotion, facilities, infrastructure for tourism and community enhancement. This promises great potential for Sarawak to be enhanced, riding on the international archaeological heritage destination. Now, there is a huge possibility of new discoveries and opportunity to showcase this historic site and give initial focus to Nia itself. I have spoken to a senior archaeologist today, Dr. Darren Kuro, which is an archaeologist from Australia who did an excavation work a few years ago in Nia, the person who is responsible for the discovery of the deep skull. Now, he, in his presentation, proposed for a center of excellence to be based in Nia. This would provide an avenue to train local students, local staff in the field of archaeology. Hence, this would also give the local a glimpse and a better understanding of heritage management, conservation, and giving the locals the skills that they can have a career working in archaeology and prehistoric in cultural heritage. I have also spoken to few of the speakers. Now, one of the main demand is for new generation to be involved in archaeology, to be experts in the field, and be a resident in Sarawak itself. Well, Sarawak has numerous potential, and having few of national recognized places like Mulu, and now that Nia is in the tentative list, it too has the potential to be it's already known by it's already internationally known to be a place of constant discovery of new information and new gathering of information through historical excavation work. There's a dire need for more locals to champion such cause. I've spoken to a local born Sarawakian who is now a lecturer in USM, is Dr. Professor Dr. Stephen Chia Ming Soon. On the future prospect, he said that USM has been training more younger generation to take up this course, and he admit that there is a demand for this, but how to get the engagement and awareness out, that remains a question it remains a question worth questioning to the locals itself. Well, that's all for me. I'm Daryl from Miri TVS.
Welcome back. The death toll from the 6.8 magnitude earthquake in China rose to 66 on Tuesday. Nearly 250 people were being treated for injuries from the disaster, with dozens critically wounded. Rescuers are also working on retrieving over 200 people stranded in the quake zone, restoring telecommunications services and power and utilities, as well as delivering food supplies to residents affected by the strongest earthquake to hit Sichuan province since 2017.
More than 243 houses had collapsed and 13,010 had been damaged. The quake cut power to several towns while various highways collapsed and 7 small to mid-sized hydropower stations suffered damage. The powerful earthquake struck Sichuan after midday on Monday with tremors felt hundreds of kilometers away. On Tuesday, state television reported over 200 people were still stranded in Hailuoguo. With heavy rains expected over the next 3 days, experts flag risk from a number of dam lakes that have been formed after the quake. Earthquakes are common in Sichuan, but Monday's quake was its biggest since August 2017, when one of the magnitude of 7.0 hit the Ebba prefecture. In recent decades, the most devastating earthquake in Sichuan and China was in 2008, when a magnitude 8.0 trembler centered in Wenchuan killed nearly 70,000 people.
Typhoon Hinnamnor in South Korea killed 3 people and several still missing on Tuesday. The typhoon, one of the most powerful to rip through the country in decades, hit the southern island of Jeju overnight before making landfall near Busan, which was battered by huge waves and heavy rain, which damaged beachfront roads and shops.
According to the Korean Meteorological Administration, the typhoon left the Korean peninsula at about 7:10 a.m. through waters of the southeastern city of Ulsan. And as of 11 a.m. local time, the typhoon was traveling northeast at about 62 kilometers per hour in the direction of Sapporo, Japan. Typhoon warnings were lifted across most parts of the country except in some regions including southern Ulsan, North Gyeongsang Province and the eastern Gangwon Province. However, President Yoon Suk-yeol has urged officials to take precautions until the typhoon subsides. About 2,900 people are still evacuated, mostly in the southern regions, and more than 66,000 homes experienced power outage. The typhoon has forced hundreds of flight cancellation, suspension of business operations and closure of schools. Neighboring North Korea also braced for damage from the typhoon, with leader Kim Jong-un presiding over a 2-day meeting on disaster prevention work and releasing water from a dam near its border with South Korea.
A significant number of deaths due to organ failure can be prevented by timely donation and transplantation of organs. However, Sarawak is beset by an extreme deficit of organ availability for transplants, with just 5,000 registered donors so far, or just 2% of Sarawak's 2.4 million population. Although a benevolent act, the lack of awareness is to be blamed. On Sejahtera Asia tomorrow, host Jessica Chung and Juzak will be speaking to Medical Officer Muhammad Tarmini Mustafa on the matter. 7:45 a.m. only on TVS Astro Channel 122 and My Free View. And that's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. My name is Douglas Elliott. Thank you for watching.